All right. Hi, everyone. Hi, Obawumi. Hi, Obiamaka. Good evening. Can you unmute your mics and let's say hello to each other? Let's welcome each other to the class. Obiamaka and Obawumi, please unmute your mics while we welcome each other to the class.
Good evening, ma.
Okay. Good evening. It's good to have you here once again. Obawumi, right? Okay, Obawumi.
Thank you now.
It's good to have you here, Obawumi. It's really nice having you back here after our previous session last month. So, so uh, all right. So I'm going to introduce myself for sake of the new student that is among us, Obiamaka, and also the new student that will probably be listening to the recorded version of the class. I just refer to. So it's nice to meet you. I'm going to be teaching, and so this is how it's going to work. Um, I have a scheme of work that we're going to be working with. However, if in the course of the explanation you have any questions, kindly note it down somewhere. I definitely advise that you get your book and your pen with you. If you have any questions in the course of our explanation, just get your pen, note and your book, note it down. At the end of the session, at the end of the class, I'm going to open the floor. I'm going to ask you to unmute your mics so you can share your questions with us, and we'll be able to deal with it together. All right. So, and also assignment is going to be made available, and quiz which you are to attempt, and it's going to have a deadline for submission, and I expect everyone to be able to meet up with the deadline for the submission. The quiz and the assignment is majorly going to be short answer. You fill in the gap. I ask a question and you type the right answer. So don't worry, it's not going to be hard. It's definitely going to cover what we've done in class. It won't be something out of the blue. Okay. All right. So let me show you the scheme of work. Okay, I'm not sharing my screen. Give me a moment. Let me share my screen. Welcome, Christine. It's good to have you here once again, Christine. You're welcome to class.
Thank you, ma. Good evening, ma.
Good evening. It's good to have you here. Really good to have you here once again. Okay, can you see my screen? If you can see my screen, please send drop an emoji. Yeah, drop an emoji. Melody, you're welcome to class. Melody, you're welcome.
Good evening, ma.
Good evening. It's good to have you here once again. All right, if you can see my screen, drop a thumbs up. Okay, thank you, Christine. Christine can see my screen. Melody, Obiamaka, Obawumi, can you see my screen? Okay, Obiamaka can see my screen. Okay, good. Obawumi, can you see my screen? Are you there? So these are the topics that we are going to be going through. And I'm going to be taking you through the sense organs, regulation of internal environment, that is homeostasis, where we'll talk about homeostasis and static organs. We'll talk about the cell and the cell theory, the structure of cells, cell organelles, the functions of cell organelles. We'll talk about the cell and its environment. And when we're talking about the cell and its environment, we're going to be focusing majorly on growth, irritability, reproduction, nutrition, and of course, cellular respiration. So for today, we're going to be starting with the sense organs. Okay. We're going to be starting with the sense organs. So before I proceed with the sense organs, I want to believe you read about sense organs before. If you are in this class and you've not heard about sense organs before, can you signify with an emoji? You've never heard about sense organs before. Signify by dropping an emoji. Okay, good. No one has dropped an emoji, which means we've heard about sense organs. And even if you tell me you've not heard about sense organs before, it's really going to be weird because I was taught sense organs from when I was in primary school. They taught us about the sense organs. So who can tell us the sense organs that we have? Unmute your mics and tell me the sense organs that we have. The amazing sense organs that we have, that we all have. You have it and I have it. Shall we? If I venture you are in a place where you are unable to speak, maybe because of background noises or any reason whatsoever, please you can drop the answer. If I ask a question, you can drop the answer to your question in the chat box. So everyone in this chat will be able to see the answer to your question. Will be able to see your input. So who wants to tell us about the sense, or who wants to mention the sense organs that we have? Anyone? Does anyone want to mention the sense organs that we have? Melody, Obawumi, Obiamaka, Christine. The sense organs.
Our eyes,
Okay, our eyes.
nose,
Yes, nose. Okay, Obawumi said the ear, the nose, the skin. Good. So which means, okay, somebody said the eye. Obiamaka said the eyes, the tongue, and the skin. Yes, the tongue is part of the sense organs. So we are going to be focusing on these sense organs. We're going to be talking about these sense organs today. Okay, thank you, Melody. Melody said the ear, the eye, the skin, the nose, the tongue. That captures virtually all of the sense organs that we have. So when we are talking about the sense organs, what are we talking about? We are talking about a collection of tissues. Now, in the organization of life, we have cells, tissues, organ, and system. Now, and today we are talking about sense organs. What are organs? Organs are a group of tissues that come together to perform a specialized function. And the organs that we have the eyes, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the skin. Now, the sense organs are a collection of tissues that work together to detect and pick up changes in the environment. For example, when we are during the hot weather, what happens during the hot weather? You see people start sweating. And once you start sweating, what is happening? Your body is cooling at the same time. You feel hot. Some people go and get cold water. They drink cold water. You see some people, especially ladies, myself included anyways, we go around with those small rechargeable fans and we use it to cool off. What are we doing? What is happening? Our skin is sensing that the weather is hot. Also, during cold weather, our skin senses it that the weather is cold. And what happens? You begin to shiver. You start shivering. And that is a way for your body to cope. Your body has sensed either hot weather or cold temperature. And your body is adjusting and getting to cope. And that is where we are going to talk about homeostatic organs, regulation of internal environment, in our next class. The sense organs in mammals, most mammals, we have the eyes, the ear, the nose, the tongue, and the skin. The eyes, the nose, the ear, the tongue, and the skin. Now, what's the function of the eyes? The eyes is for what? For seeing. The sight, the organ for sight. What is the function of the ear? It functions in hearing. It is the auditory organ responsible for hearing. What's the function of the nose? We use it for olfaction. Olfaction. When we talk about olfaction, the ability to perceive smell, ability to perceive odor, be it a pleasant odor or an unpleasant odor. Then we have the tongue. How do you take, for example, you're eating a meal. Why once you put a spoon of the food in your mouth, you tell yourself, who cooked this food though? The salt is not enough. Oh, the Maggi is not enough. Oh, the spices is not enough. Oh, this food is peppery. I cannot eat it. Oh, there is not they didn't put enough pepper in the food. How are you doing that? You are tasting it with your tongue. Your tongue is telling you that you that like peppery food, this food is not peppery. Can you eat it? You that like them packing salt inside your food, this food is not salty enough. Can you eat it? Your tongue is sensing and giving you a feedback. Then the skin, you are able to feel changes in temperature with your skin. How can you feel changes in temperature with your skin? Let me give you an example. At work, we have two offices. There are two offices. Now, One has AC, the other without AC. When I leave the room that has the AC, the office with the AC, and I move to the other office that does not have the air conditioning system, what happens? I feel so hot immediately. I feel like, damn, how are you coping in this in this place? This place is really hot. It's so hot. But then after I leave that office and I move to the AC, the office with air condition, I tell myself, okay, yes, this is it. How am I able to sense that? My skin has sensed that this place is hot and this place is cool. So obviously, I would prefer to stay in the place that is cool, instead of the hot, the office that is hot. So talking about the amazing sense organs that we have, our primary sense organs, like I already mentioned, the eyes for sight, the ears for hearing, the nose for identification of odor, the tongue for tasting flavors, the skin, the organ of touch. The skin feels pressure and heat. When we talk about pressure, for example, if I look at you and I be like, just let me pinch this girl. If I pinch you, what's going to happen? You're going to say, ouch. Why did you pinch me? That's going to be your first reaction. You're going to ask, why I pinch you? You were able to feel the pressure from me pinching on your skin. Now, talking about the first organ, the organ of sight, where we have the eyes. This is how our eyes look like. I believe you all can see my screen. If you can see my screen, signify by using an emoji. You can see my screen, please use an emoji. Okay, thank you, Christine. Okay, if Christine can see my screen, I believe every other person. Thank you, Melody. Now, this is how your eyes look like. Our eyes, not just your eyes, pardon me. This is how our eyes look like. Every human being's eyes looks like this. This is what the internal structure of the eyes look like, where we have some structures. We have the iris, we have the optic nerve, we have the retina, we have the choroid, we have the sclera, we have the fovea, we have the ciliary body and the ciliary muscle, we have the cornea. These are the major, we have the vitreous body that secretes the vitreous humor. That stuff that comes out of your eyes, when you tell it to remove the speck from your eyes, now that is it. Now talking about the organ of sight, I'm going to share the whiteboard now. I want to give you an illustration. So I'm going to share the whiteboard. Okay, full screen. Give me a moment. I want to share the whiteboard with you. Now, when we are talking about the eyes, we have the external structure of the eyes and we have the internal structure of the eyes. The external structure is the one we can see, just like you can see my eyes right now. That is the external structure of the eyes. And we have the internal structure. This one you cannot see it with the you cannot view it with your ordinary eyes without using aids. For example, if you've gone to the eye clinic, okay, can you see my screen? If you can see my screen, please signify. Obaomi says you can't see my screen. If you can see the whiteboard, signify. Can you see if you can see my whiteboard, please signify. If you cannot see it, please send an emoji. Okay, give me a moment. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. I'm trying to see why you can't see my screen. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen now? Can you see the whiteboard? I'm projecting a whiteboard. Okay. Okay, I don't know why you're not able to see whiteboard. Okay, let me go back to sharing my screen instead. Let me go back to sharing the okay. All right, if you can see my screen now, signify if you can see my screen now. Okay, good. All right. So talking about the organ of sight, the eyes. The eyes is the organ of sight, and it specializes in receiving light impulses. It has an, like I mentioned earlier, that it has an internal structure that we cannot see with our naked eyes without using an aid, and it has an external structure. Are you following? If you are following, please signify. Okay, thank you, Christine. Christine is following. Okay. Now it has the external structure and it has the internal structure. The external structure of the human eyes, it consists of a bony socket. This is the bony socket, the eye socket, where the eyes fix into. And this bony socket is called the orbit. And each eye is set within this orbit and they are held together by muscles. And these muscles are what controls the movement of the eyes. That is why you can roll your eyes. You see some people, ladies especially, rolling their eyes. How are we able to roll our eyes? Because of these muscles that we have that control movement in any direction. Now, over the eye socket, we have the eyebrows. You have the eyebrows. You have the eyelids. You have the eyelashes. The eyelashes serve as a guard and helps to against dirt. It helps to prevent dirt from gaining access into our eyes. For example, if I'm sitting, as I'm seated here, if all of a sudden it gets windy and then the wind, the wind is going to be carrying dust and different particles all around. What happens if the dust is about to get into my eyes? Automatically, I shut my eyes open. I shut my eye closed. Sorry. I shut my eye closed. Why am I able to do that? Because number one, I have eyelids. Those eyelids close and protect my eyes from invasion of dust and particles. Then we have the internal structure of the eyes, which is composed of 3 layers: the outer layer, the middle layer, and the inner layer. The outer layer is called the sclera, and it is the outermost part. It is the white layer of the eyes. Some people call it the egg white of the eyes. The white visible part that you can see in your eyes, that is the sclera. That is the sclera of the eyes. And the function of the sclera, it is transparent and it bulges out in front of the eyes, and it helps to form the cornea, and light enters the eye through the cornea. And we have the middle layer called the choroid, which contains blood vessels. These blood vessels supply the eyes. If these blood vessels don't supply the eyes, you're going to have issues with your sight. Then we have the iris also, which is the colored portion of the eyes. Then we have the pupil. The pupil also, which is present at the junction of the choroid. And before I forget, the iris of the eyes is the color varies depending on race. The color of the iris varies from brown to gray to green to even blue. Some people have blue eyes. It's common among the whites. So when you see someone that the eyes is blue, what makes it different is the color of the iris. Then we have the inner layer of the eyes that is called the retina. Now, the retina consists of several nerve cells, and these nerve cells are all contains photoreceptor cells. When we say photoreceptors, that means they are light sensitive. These photoreceptor cells are 2. We have the rod and we have the cone. We have the rod cells and we have the cone cells. Now, the rod and cone cells, they are intermingled with each other, and they help with vision. Now we have defect of the eyes. We have different defect of the eyes. How many of you have read about defect of the eyes? If you've heard about defect of the eyes, Please signify. You've heard about defect of the eyes. Please signify. Okay, I'm not getting any response. If you are following, please signify. Okay, Christine has heard about the... Oh, Lucas, you're welcome to class. I didn't notice your presence. I'm so sorry about that. I apologize. So now who can tell us about the defect of the eyes? Anybody wants to give it a trial? What you know about defect of the eyes? Anyone? Anyone wants to give it a trial?
It's when the eyes can't focus light. When the eyes or the lens cannot focus light.
Okay, yes. When our eyes cannot focus light, it's definitely going to cause issues. Myopia. Obawumi said myopia. Yes, myopia. Obawumi, you're correct with myopia. Obawumi, you're correct with myopia. Who else wants to give it a trial? Any other person? Any other person wants to give it a trial? Okay, so we have myopia. Can you see my screen? If you can see my screen, please signify. Okay, Christine said hyperopia. Okay, thank you, Christine. Hyperopia. Okay. Now the eye defect that we have. I'm going to take you through the eye defect that we have. Okay. How about now? Can you see my screen now? If you can see my screen now, please signify. Okay, you can see the whiteboard. Okay. All right. It's good to know you can see the whiteboard now. Okay. So earlier I was talking about the external structure of the eyes, right? Are you following? If you are following, please drop an emoji. If you are following, drop an emoji. Only Christine has dropped an emoji. Okay, Obawumi, thank you. Thank you. Earlier, I was talking about the external structure of the eyes. And I said I wanted to give you a diagram for that. Now, you see this white part. This is what I said is the egg white of the eyes, called the sclera. That is the egg white of the eyes. This one, what happens to it? You are able to see that sclera of the eyes, the egg white of the eyes. I mentioned the function earlier. Who can remind us the function? Anyone wants to remind us the function of the sclera of the eyes? Anyone? You can unmute your mic if you want to speak, or drop a message in the chat box if you are unable to speak freely where you are. Okay, all right, let's go on. Let's go on with the eye defects. The eye defect, we have myopia, we have hypermetropia or hyperopia, we have astigmatism. Okay, you can't see my screen. Can you see my screen now? You're supposed to be seeing my screen now. I'm sharing my screen currently. Okay, Christine can see my screen. Okay, thank you. We have cataracts, we have glaucoma. Now, myopia is also called short-sightedness. And it is characterized by a blurred and distant vision. Which means that near vision, you can see near vision, but you cannot see far vision. That is why it is called short-sightedness or near-sightedness. Now, how do you correct myopia, short-sightedness? you correct it with a concave or a diverging lens. While we have the second type, the opposite, which is hypermetropia or hyperopia, which is also known as long-sightedness. In this situation, you can correct it with convex lens. The myopia, the first one, you can correct it with a concave lens, and the hypermyopia, you can correct it with a convex lens. And I mentioned that hypermetropia is also known as long-sightedness, which means, in myopia, you can only see near vision. What is near? What is close? You can see it. Anything that is far, you cannot see it in nearsightedness, myopia. While in hypermetropia, you can only see something that is far. Anything that is close, you will find it difficult to see it. That is why when you see people carry their phones or they carry their books close to their eyes, what are they doing? They are trying to read, which means they can only see at a close distance. And for someone that wants to read and is doing like this, taking their book and like, okay, what is this? What is this? That is long-sightedness. They can't see the book when it's close to them. They can only see it when it's far away from them. Then we have astigmatism, which is caused by unequal curvature of the lens or the cornea. In this case, they are corrected using cylindrical lenses. And we have cataract, which is caused as a result of deposition of scales in the eyes. And this one can only be corrected via surgery. You cannot use lens. You can't use correction glasses to correct cataract. All right, that is all about the eyes. That's all about the eyes. Let's talk about the organ for hearing and balance. The organ for hearing and balance, okay? The organ for hearing and balance, which is the ear. Hold on, I'm going to share. Okay. Give me a moment. Okay. The organ for hearing and balance, which is the ear. Now, the ear is the organ for hearing and balance, and it consists of three parts: the external ear, the middle ear, and we have the inner ear. If you can see the image on my screen, please signify. You can see the image on my screen, signify. Okay, thank you, Christine. Now, talking about the external ear, it is made up of the auricle, which is also called the pinna. And as you can see on the screen, we have the pinna, also called the auricle. This is the pinna, this one that we can see with our eyes, that we can touch. That is the pinna, and it is also called the auricle. Now, the external ear is made up of the pinna, the external auditory canal, and the eardrum. The external auditory canal is also called the external auditory meatus, and it's responsible for passage of sounds and vibration passing through the pinna to the eardrum, which is the third part of the external ear. And the eardrum also has another name. You can call it the tympanic membrane or the tympanum. Is that you call it the eardrum, tympanic membrane, or tympanum? And it is lined with waxes and wax producing glands called ceruminous glands, and it produces a substance called cerumen, what we call the ear wax. That is why when you put, if you dip your finger into your ears, especially in the morning when you just wake up, you will bring out some things there. That is the ear wax. The ear is actually self-cleansing. That is why we are advised not to poke our ears with anything, especially those of us that are used to using cotton buds. So we've been advised not to do that, because you can push in those ear wax and push it deeper into structures where it should not be found. Now, the function of this ear wax, it helps to protect our ears from germs and dusts. It helps to protect our ears from germs and dusts. Then the second part of the ear, we have the middle ear. The middle ear is separated from the external ear by the tympanum, and the middle ear is just is just more of a cavity called the tympanic cavity, and it has three bones, three small bones. Those are the smallest bones in the human body. We have the malleus, we have the incus bone, and we have the stapes bone. Now, they are collective, these three bones, these three small bones are collectively called the hair ossicles. The hair ossicles, the malleus, the incus, and the stapes. Now, vibrations of the hair moves all of this, and they help in production of sound and transmitting of vibrations and sound. The middle ear also has a narrow tube that is called the eustachian tube. The eustachian tube. And the function of the eustachian tube is to protect the hair from damage. Then we have the inner ear, which is connected to structures that are called the labyrinth, the bony labyrinth. And it has three parts: the vestibule, the semicircular canal, and the cochlea. For your level, we'll be stuck with talking about the cochlea. All right, I think that is all about the organ for hearing. Let's move to the organs of, okay, oh, this was what I was looking for. Can you see my screen? If you can see my screen, please signify. If you can see my screen, signify. Okay, okay. So this is the external part of the eyes and the internal part of the eyes. I eventually found the image. That's good. Okay. All right, let's talk about the organ of olfaction, the nose. This organ for smell. In anatomy, it is called olfaction, but for your level, you can just call it the organ of smell. The nose is the sense organ of smell, and it acts as the olfactory sense receptor. It is concerned with breathing. You breathe in and out, you breathe air in and out. And it also helps with smell. And how does it help with smell? With the aid of sensory cells that are found in the roof of the nasal cavity. These sensory cells, they have air-like structures, and these air-like structures are called the olfactory air. They perceive stimulus of smell, and they send impulses. The brain decides now, when your nose perceives any smell, your brain now decides if the smell is a pleasant smell or an unpleasant smell. If it's pleasant, you tell yourself, okay, this smells nice, then you want to investigate more. But if it smells awful, what happens? You tell yourself, no, definitely not me. This smell is not from here. Then we have the other organ. We have the organ of touch, which is the skin. The sense organ of touch, which is the skin. Now, talking about the skin covers all of the external surface of the human body. It covers all of the external surface, and it's the skin functions in protection. It protects your deeper structures in the body, secretion, like secretion of sweat, temperature regulation. I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the class that your skin helps you to sense when the weather is hot and when the weather is cold. The skin also performs sensory functions of touch. It helps you to feel pain, pressure, feeling of hotness and coldness. I also mentioned earlier that if I pinch you on your skin, you will definitely feel, I'll be like, oh, ouch, why did you pinch me? What did I do to you? Now, the skin has sensory nerve endings and receptors. These sensory nerve endings and receptors, they are four. We have the Pacinian cells, the cross cells, the medicinal cells, and we have the dendrite cells. The Pacinian cells, they are responsible for, they are nerve cells of pressure. The cross cells are for temperature. The medicinal cells are for feeling of touch, and the dendrite cells is for feeling of pain. Now, the skin is divided into two parts. We have the epidermis and the dermis, and some go further to classify it into three parts instead: the epidermis, the dermis, and the hypodermis. The epidermis is the one that we can see physically outside. That is the epidermis, and it's quite thick. Now, there are some structures that are found in the skin. Some of the structures found in the skin, we have the sweat pore, the sweat gland, the hair follicles, sebaceous gland, and of course, nerves and blood vessels. Because without the nerves, if I pinch you, if I prick you with a needle, you will not be able to feel it. Without the blood vessels, if our skin does not receive blood supply, our skin cells are going to die. They become necrosed, cell death occurs, and the skin dies. Then we have the organ of taste, which is the tongue. Can you all see my screen? If you can see my screen, drop an emoji. Okay, thank you, Lucas. All right, so talking about the organ of taste, thank you, Christine. Talking about the organ of taste is the tongue. With your tongue, you can taste that, okay, this thing is sweet, is bitter, is salty, is peppery, is hot. Okay, the food is too cold, I don't want it. The tongue is the organ responsible for the sense of taste, and it is a muscular sensory organ. And the tongue does not have bone. It doesn't contain bones. And it contains sensory cells. And these sensory cells are called the taste buds. That is what the sensory cells are called. Now, these sensory cells, the taste bud, they are located all over the surface of the skin. And they are responsible for acting as receptors. Now, in tasting, the skin, the tongue is sensitive to 4 primary tastes: the bitter taste, the salty taste, the sour taste, and the sweet taste. Those are the four sensitive parts of the tongue. Now, the bitter taste, where do you feel bitter taste? At the back of your tongue. I believe you all can see my screen. You can see my screen, right? Okay, thank you, Lucas. Thank you, Lillian. Oh, Lillian, you're welcome to class. So the bitter taste is felt at the back of the tongue. The salty taste is present on the side of the tongue. The sour taste also on the side of the tongue, both sides of the tongue, left and right side of the tongue. And the sweet taste is at the tip of the tongue. So once you, maybe you're cooking soup, maybe bitter leaf soup, you are cooking bitter leaf soup, and it's your first time, probably you didn't follow all of the procedures properly, and you decided to taste your bitter leaf soup as you are cooking it. Once you put it on your hand and you taste it, you say, like, this thing is still bitter, I cannot eat this. You can trash it, or you can decide to manage whatever you've cooked and eat it. When you are cooking food and you add salt to it, you taste it, oh, the salt is not enough. You add more salt. Oh, the salt is still not enough. You keep adding salt until your tongue can taste that, okay, the salt is enough. And if your tongue doesn't tell you the salt is enough and you keep adding it, someone else that the tongue is quite functional will taste the food and say, Lillian, what happened to this soup? It's salty. Your own tongue is this senses that the food is salty already, and someone else's tongue senses it as salty. Now, each of these taste buds, they contain sensory hair-like cells that are called gustatory sense. And they are also receptors for other stimulus, like texture of food. For example, if you eat rice, if the rice is not properly cooked, you say, oh, this rice is not properly cooked, it's not done. Or you say, oh, this rice is mushy, it's too soft. Why did you cook the rice to be so soft when you're not trying to prepare tuwo for us? Okay, so, all right. We've talked about the sense of smell, which is the nose. We've talked about sense of taste, the tongue, sense of touch, the skin, sense of hearing and balance, which is the ear, and organ of sight, which is the eyes. And we also talked about eye defect. We talked about eye defects. Some other eye defect that we have, again, let me mention just for record purpose. Some other eye defect that we have color blindness, and we have blind spots. How many of you have heard about blind spot and color blindness before? If you've heard about blind spot and color blindness before, please signify by raising up your hands. Send an emoji. Okay, Lillian, which one have you heard about there? Lillian, unmute your mic and tell us which one you've heard about. Let me see how much knowledge you people have on this topic. Anyone wants to give it a trial? Lillian? Lillian?
Actually, I've heard about long-sightedness and short-sightedness.
Okay, have you heard about color blindness before?
Yes, I've heard about color blindness, and that usually happens in mostly in males,
Okay, okay. Can you tell us what it's
where
all
they are
about?
not able to differentiate some colors.
What's the main color they cannot differentiate? Do you know?
I don't know, but I want to try blue. Blue.
Okay, okay. All right. Which other one have you heard about? Have you heard about blind spots? Lillian, have you heard about blind spots?
No.
Okay, Lucas. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Lillian. Thank you, Lucas. Now, Lillian was telling us about color blindness, and she's actually right about the definition. It is an eye defect where someone cannot differentiate colors. And the colors they cannot differentiate is red and green. When they see color red looks like green. Everything is green. Red and green, they cannot differentiate between color red and color green. They can differentiate quite other colors, but red and green colors, they find it difficult to differentiate. I did hear that Charles Darwin had that eye defect, color blindness. And then for blind spots, now we have our main vision, and we also have something called peripheral vision. How many of you have heard about peripheral vision? You've heard about peripheral vision. Okay, good. Lucas has heard about peripheral vision. Lucas has heard about peripheral vision. Now, the main vision is what is in front of your eyes. You can see it. That is the main vision. The peripheral vision, the one by the side, that's the peripheral vision. For example, I don't need to look at the back before I can tell you that, oh, there's a chair behind me. Oh, there's someone standing behind me. Even though I have not turned around to take a look. That's because of the peripheral vision. So somebody who has lost their peripheral vision, they would say that the person has a blind spot. And for example, people who have blind spots, I did hear that they might not be able to work in the armed forces because you need to be able to see everything that is happening around you. So we also have night blindness, another eye defect. We have night blindness. What is night blindness? It's simple. They cannot see in the night. People like that cannot see in the night. They can't drive at night. They can't walk at night because they cannot see clearly at night. A defect of the hear defect. We have deafness, where the individual does not get auditory information. The person doesn't hear sounds. In that situation, they can use hearing aid. That is if it's a temporary deafness. However, if it's a deafness that is permanent, hearing aids might not really work. Then we have earache, ear pain, when someone's ears are aching. I don't know if you've seen people doing some, especially during cold weather, during harmattan, during cold weather, you see them putting cotton wools in their ear. How many of you have noticed that? If you've noticed people like that, signify. You've noticed people that during cold weather especially, they put cotton wools in their hair. They are having earache. During harmattan, the weather is mostly windy and cold. That cold affects their ears. So they put that cotton wool in their ear to block out too much air from entering into their ear so they don't get earache, ear pain. All right. So tomorrow your assignment for this topic, sense organs, is going to be available on your dashboard for you to access. Please endeavor to do it. It's going to help you to remember everything we've done in class. It's going to even help you test your knowledge to know that, okay, out of 100 things that I was taught in biology class on Thursday, I'm able to remember 6, which means I need to read up for the remaining 4 things. So it's going to help you for your own good. All right, does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any questions? While you are thinking about your questions, let me hold on about me. Let me mark the attendance before I forget. Give me a moment. Okay, I'm not sure my screen right. Okay. All right, so I have the attendance in front of me. Okay. About me is present. Okay. Christine is present. I got Christine. Okay. Do we have any Chizome in class? I doubt it. Melody, is Melody in class? Please unmute your mics. So unmute your mics. Okay, Melody is in class. Okay. Okay, we've got Christine in class too. Okay. Give me a moment while I go through the attendance. If you've not heard your name, please signify. If you've not heard your name, please unmute your mic and speak now. You've not heard your name called out for the attendance.
I've not heard my name. Not my name.
Lucas David,
Yes,
right?
my
I
name.
haven't
Yeah,
said my name, ma'am.
Very good.
Yeah? What's your name?
Golden.
Golden. Oh, okay. Hold on. Golden. I see a golden here. Okay, I got golden here. Okay.
Me, ma'am.
Okay. I got
I haven't
Obawumi
said my
too.
name.
Obawumi, right?
I
Obawumi, is
haven't
that you?
said my name.
What's your name? What's your name?
Lillian.
Lillian. Okay, hold on. Let me see if we have any Lillian here. Okay. Lillian, which name did you drop for them? Is it Lillian?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not seeing any Lillian on this list, but let me take a look at it again.
Is there Uchenna there?
Okay, hold on. Let me see. Uchenna. No, there's no Uchenna.
Yeah, I've not heard mine. Osazo Onawu.
Osazua. Are you Osazua
Osaze.
Elogoza?
No, Osaze Onawu.
Okay, Osaze. Okay. Moment. Okay, I got your name. Who else haven't had your name? Aside Lillian. Who hasn't heard their name? Aside Lillian.
I haven't said my name.
Who is that? Your name?
Melody.
Melody. Okay, hold on. Melody. Hold on, Melody. Let me take a look at the attendance again. Okay, Melody, is that the name you dropped for them? Oh, Melody. Oh, Okosu Melody.
Yes,
Right?
ma'am.
Okay. All right. All right. So I'm going to take it again. If your name is not included in the names I'm calling, let me know. Obawumi is present. Christine is present. Melody is present. Um, Golden is present. Obawumi is present. Onai Wasazi is present. So if you've not heard your name, aside Lillian, who hasn't heard your name? Aside Lillian, who didn't hear their name? Everyone heard their name. I want to believe everyone heard their names, right? Okay. Efosa Achibong. You're just joining the class.
Yes, ma.
Okay. The class is almost ending. We are 5 minutes to the end of the class. So let me check your name on the list. Efosa Achibong. You came quite late. Quite late. Okay, I don't see your name on the list, Efosa. Efosa, I don't see your name on the list. You can please speak with the admin, Efosa, okay?
Okay, ma.
All right. So about me, you were raising up your hand. So I'm listening. What's your question? In organ of tongue. Oh, okay. Sorry, that's just a transcription. That's just a transcription of the tongue. About me, have I answered your question? About me, do you have any more question? Any other question? About me, you can drop a text. About me, are you there? Okay. All right, does any other person have questions on what we've done today? Who has questions on what we've done today? Okay. About me, your hand is still raised up. Do you have a question? Okay, I think about me is not with us right now. Does any other person have a question? Golden, Christine, anybody have a question? Okay, Christine doesn't have a question. Golden, do you have a question? Golden, do you have a question? Okay, Lucas doesn't have a question. Golden doesn't have a question. Okay. All right. About me, I'm calling out once again, just to be sure. About me, are you there? Okay, about me is not there. So what organ is this? Unmute your mics. Unmute your mics, please. Please unmute your mics. And if you're in a place where you can't unmute your mic, just drop the answer in the chat box. Which organ is the organ of olfaction? Olfaction. Which organ is the organ of olfaction?
Smell. Ma, the nose is the organ of
Okay, thank you, Christine. The nose. Yes, the nose is the organ of olfaction. Okay, so who can tell us some of the eye defects that we have? Eye defects that we have. Anyone?
myopia.
Myopia. Color blindness. Myopia. I've spelled myopia on the screen. Can you see my screen? Okay, I'm guessing you can't see my screen still. I'll work on that. All right, someone mentioned color blindness. Which other one?
Astigmatism.
Astigmatism. Okay. So when an individual cannot differentiate between color red and color green, what eye defect does that person have?
Color blindness.
Oh, thank you very much. Color blindness. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any question? Anyone with questions? If today you don't ask, if today you don't have questions, it's fine. It's quite understandable. My advice is continue reading your book. And if in the course of doing your personal reading, you have questions, you can note it down. In our next class, we're going to talk about today's topic before we move on to the next. Okay. So I want to believe you'll be able to ask your questions. Our next class is not until tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. Okay.
Ma, you did not
Yes,
answer
yes.
my question.
I answered your question. I was calling out to you, but I guess you were not there. I said that is just an abbreviation. That is just a translation for the tongue. Did you hear me? About me, did you hear me?
Oh.
About me, did you hear me?
Yes, ma.
Okay, I've answered your question.
Yes.
I've answered your question about me.
Yes, ma.
Okay, so
Yes.
Thank you very much, everyone, for showing up for today's class. Thank you, Efosa. Thank you, Abawumi. Thank you, Christine. Thank you to Lucas. Thank you to Goldie. Thank you to everyone. So I'm going to be expecting you for our next class tomorrow by 7 p.m. And do read your books before you come for class tomorrow, because I'm going to ask you questions based on what we've done today. And like I said, you can go ahead and read outside the box if possible. Okay, no knowledge is lost. It will be useful one day. So in our next class, if you have questions based on today's topic, I'm going to definitely let you ask your questions. So I'm going to see you in our next class tomorrow. Do have a good evening.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.